The Fighting Irish roll into College Station, Notre Dame, Texas A&M, Week 1. Let's talk about it and give a prediction. First up, this is Marcus Freeman's best defense that he's had since taking over as head coach. Let's go ahead and go through all of these players that are going to make significant impacts. R.J. Oben is Notre Dame's best pass rusher. He transfers in from Duke. He's going to get some pressures this game. Howard Cross and Jack Kaiser, defensive tackle and linebacker respectively, are the run-stopping guys. I think Howard Cross does a great job at clogging up that middle of the defense. A lot of people talked about him for preseason All-American. I don't think he's necessarily at that level, but definitely still one of the best in the country. On the back end of things, this is where you see the All-Americans. Benjamin Morrison, corner, man-to-man, lockdown on one side of the field. And then on the top of this defense, Xavier Watts, one of the best cover 2 zone players in the country. Make sure that this Notre Dame team does not have the top taken off of them. They're very impressive on defense, and I think that's the highlight of this Notre Dame team. On Texas A&M's side, let's talk about their offense. Connor Wegman pairs up with Colin Klein, the new offensive coordinator for this team. He came from Kansas State. He is a Big 12 champion offensive coordinator, which I think is impressive. But Connor Wegman, on the other end, only played 4 games last year. He hurt his foot, was out for the rest of the year. He showed some promise, but he didn't play that talented of teams. The one big game that he had was versus Miami. I think he threw 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions, and they lost that game. All that being said, the resume's not that impressive, but the talent definitely is there. But I have to see it to believe it. That's why I have my doubts about Connor Wegman. And then let's go ahead and talk about this Texas A&M offense. They didn't have a single player last season sniff 1,000 scrimmage yards, receiving or rushing. And I definitely think that's going to play a factor. But on the Notre Dame side of things, they bring in a new quarterback from Duke. I definitely think that that's one of the big questions for this team. Can he perform game 1 in a new system, new weapons, new team, new part of the country? I'm not necessarily certain, but I do want to give him the edge over Connor Wegman. All that being said, let's talk about some of the X factors for this team. Notre Dame, they've got Mitchell Evans, tight end, third down type of possession guy. When it's like 3rd and 4, 3rd and 3, and you need to pass the ball, this is the guy Notre Dame is going to look to. On Texas A&M side, Nick Scorton, one of the best pass rushers in college football, 10 sacks last year for Purdue. I watched his tape. It is phenomenal. He can power rush, speed rush, you name it. When you see a defensive end screaming off the edge, it's going to be Nick Scorton in this game. All that being said, let's talk about our prediction. The head coach advantage in this spot, Mike Elko versus Marcus Freeman. I have to give it to the coach who's actually been a head coach in this spot before. Marcus Freeman gets the edge for me. Although he hasn't won necessarily the big game yet, I don't necessarily think that this is the toughest matchup that he's seen. Notre Dame went toe-to-toe with Ohio State last year, who is far and away better than Texas A&M and where they're at right now. So I will give Marcus Freeman the head coaching edge. Quarterback, it's a toss-up. I don't necessarily think either are going to be the difference makers in this game, so I will leave that as like a tie. Defense, Notre Dame gets it. Although Texas A&M brings in quite a few transfers, they had another mass exodus this last year. 31 transfers out after Jimbo Fisher gets fired. I don't think that this A&M defense is going to recover quite quickly enough to get ready for game 1. So I'll give the edge to Notre Dame. Home field advantage, Texas A&M, Kyle Allen Field, one of the best places to play in college football. I've got to give them the advantage there. I think this will be a very low-scoring game. Talent overall is pretty equal in my opinion. I will give the slight edge to Notre Dame. This is going to be a very close matchup, and I definitely think there's going to be a game-winning field goal in the last couple of minutes of this game. Final score prediction, Notre Dame 20, Texas A&M 17. If you're a betting man, I would stay away from this game. It's going to be kind of ugly. Neither team has elite skill players. They have very good defenses, so this is going to be a sloppy one, low-scoring first half. Maybe it gets wide open in the second half, but I doubt it. Final score prediction, Notre Dame 20, Texas A&M 17. Thanks all so much for watching. We'll see you next time. We got a couple more college football predictions for you in a couple of hours.